Andrew, how are you?
I'm very good. I'm exceedingly hot.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe the level of hot I am. I'm in the studio. There's a shed at the end of my garden that has Wi-Fi.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's, you know what I mean? Studio, but you get the idea.
It works.
And it was at 9 this morning. It was 35 degrees in here.
Fuck
so
that.
there's no air conditioning. So I've just got my vintage Bob Marley T-shirt, and I've just soaked it in a garden hose, and I'm just standing in a soaking wet.
Sopping with Bob Marley T-shirt. That'll work.
Yeah.
Andrew, I used to play gigs with a lad, a bass player, and before he'd go to the gig, he'd put a T-shirt into a vacuum pack plastic bag and he'd put it in the freezer. So when he got home from gigs, he wouldn't even shower or change his clothes. He would take off his shirt and put the vacuum packed frozen T-shirt on himself at like 2 a.m, and that was his way of chilling out. I thought he was mental.
It's worth a try.
No, well, that would do
a
it.
genius.
Oh, apologies, Johnny B. I was slightly distracted by your anecdote by an enormous bumblebee trying to kill me.
It wasn't that good.
No, but you know, it deserves the attention. You know what I mean? It's just this bumblebee. It looked, you know what I mean? It looked like a Ford Fiesta.
You're living in England. How long have you been living in England now?
28 years, boys.
Fucking hell.
I know,
man. What brought you over there in the first place?
Well, when I started on the circuit in Dublin, you know yourself, it was basically the International, the Comedy Cellar. There used to be another little gig around the corner in the front of House Bar in the Gaiety. Then there was Brian down in Cork. There's Kevin and Jerry out in Galway, and there was gig up in Belfast, but that was it.
Yeah.
So there was five what were still then called alternative comedy gigs in the whole of the island. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I love that.
Time, like
fucking alternative comedy.
Oh, mate! Sometimes you'd show up at places and they were like, "What the hell's this? Why hasn't he done 5 knock jokes and then sang a song?" Like, you know what I mean?
Where's his banjo? Let him play the fucking banjo.
What is this? This isn't it. What? Why isn't he told us about his mother-in-law?
Yeah.
Why is this 18-year-old not banging on about his mother-in-law? It was Ardle went over first. It was Ardle, Kevin Gildee, Dermot Carmody, and Kevin Gildee, and we all just went over, and Dylan Moran.
Yes.
And we all went over in the space of 6 months and sort of helped each other get gigs, and that was it. I wanted the stage time. It didn't exist in Ireland at the time.
And how were Irish comedians received with English audiences?
Oh, really well.
Yeah.
Really well. With any Irish accent, English people just automatically assume you're going to be funny. Right. And then, you've got to prove them wrong.
Okay, that's a good start.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So, no, really well. I must have, 8,000 gigs on this island. I mean, I must have had like a negative response 5 times, maybe something like that.
Yeah, you're getting the hang of it, to be fair, at this stage. Yeah.
Yeah, you should do.
Get into the swing of it.
Years into the game. Yeah.
One thing I thought was gas is that you do the voice for the TV show X on the Beach.
Right here in this very studio, Johnny.
Oh, no way!
That's where it happens.
My next question was do you get to go to all the glamorous locations? But unfortunately not.
No. That's weird. People always ask me that. They are you there? I'm like, where? Are you out at the villa in Mexico? I'm like, I'm the voiceover man. I'm not just following them around and hiding behind palm trees just like a dirty David Attenborough.
Yeah, newspaper up over your nose.
Yeah, exactly. No, sadly, no. Man, no, I don't get to go out there.
That show is gas, and if you don't mind me saying, you seemed initially like such an unusual choice for it, considering the comedy you do and the kind of show that it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. It's a crazy story. So.
Yeah, how did you get into it? Or what did you think of the show when you first heard about it?
Well, how it happened, before that, there was a show called The Valleys on MTV.
Yes.
Which was just
all the Welsh lads.
Yeah.
Welsh maniacs in a house in Cardiff, right? All in from The Valleys, which is just a relentless tune.
Yeah, it's like
It's
Offaly.
it's exactly. It's like if you can imagine 1,000 Mullingars in a row. So I loved it. Me and the missus absolutely loved it for the level of mayhem. And I'd never really done any voiceover work. I made a show for BBC called Conspiracy Road Trip, where, amongst other things, I led a dance invasion of Area 51. Got arrested. I've now got a record with the FBI for the rest of my life. I'm banned from
class.
Yeah.
Can you get into America?
Yeah, but it just takes ages at the embassy. Like, they really, really ask me a lot of questions.
Are you planning on doing any dancing, Mr. Maxwell?
Yes, but so I voiced over the show, Conspiracy Road Trip, but I'd never done any other voiceovers, and it came out of the blue. I was asked, do you want to go for this meeting? It's with MTV, and it's the same people who are sort of behind the valleys, and I was like, yeah, but you know yourself, like, there is just so much guff in our business.
Yeah.
Come for a meeting, and you have a meeting, and everybody's amazing, and they're all so much it's so nice, and then you walk away and nothing.
Yeah.
And then you realise you were just filling their diary in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
We've been there.
Yeah, you know yourself. You were just there to eat their biscuits and not alone. So I assumed that it was going to be like this again, but I was such a fan of the mayhem of the valleys, I went, I've got to meet these people. And it was Ex on the Beach was one of the guys who came up with it, and the original people is a Belfast dude. So I get there, and I'm chatting away, and they tell me the premise of the show, and I was like, that sounds like absolute mayhem. I can't wait to watch that. And they're like, what do you think about being in it? I'm like, yeah, I'm up for that. When do you want me to do an audition? And they were like, no, we'd like you to do it. I'm like, oh, right, okay. Right. Expecting, as always, there's an extra caveat in show business.
Yeah.
But they were like, no, we'd like you definitely to do it. Do you definitely want to do it? And I'm like, yes, I'd like to do it. So we shook hands, and I was like, so am I doing it then? And they're like, well, yes, we'd like you to do it. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, brilliant. And I'm just on the way out the door, and I went, well, how did you come by my name? And they were like, well, we were looking for people. So basically, Ex on the Beach, it seems such a nonsense thing, but MTV had never, ever used a voiceover artist in the entire history of MTV.
What?
Because when it's an odd idea, because basically, when MTV started in the early 80s, voiceovers were considered the most old hat, cheesy thing to have on a TV show, and they wanted to break that mold and seem young and youthful. Roll on 40 years later, they were still voiceover, we don't know. So they passed on me on YouTube to them, and the note that came back was, wow, this guy is a bastard. That's really it. And that's how I got the job.
That's a nice gig to get for being a bastard, isn't it?
Yeah. And when they told me, I was like, oh my God, I feel so seen.
Yeah. They get me.
They know me. I'm a bastard.
I tell you one thing, it's worked out well being a bastard for you, hasn't it?
Oh, God. I don't know, we're 12 series into it, 14. I don't know.
Are you serious?
Yeah, dude, we're starting again soon.
And people go on and they get put with their ex on a beach, and they just have a go at each other,
it's like fucking Love Island, but they bring in exes basically.
It's basically what I described it. It's like Love. It makes Love Island look like the opera. It's like Love Island runs for a month, something like that. Yeah. It's a lot of content. It's all the same Carry On, it's Muscle Dudes and Dolly Birds, and the same crack.
Oh man, I love it. You mentioned it there, the Edinburgh Festival. I mean, and you're at it again this year. But
always.
What's that like for people who just don't understand it? Because when I hear Edinburgh, I hear deadly stories about it, and then I've listened to the likes of Rob Beck and stuff say that he went once and had a fucking a horrible experience one time, and then he got better. I'd say it's daunting. Is it daunting the first time you go for a comedian?
Oh, 100%. So to give you a little background, Edinburgh is about 250,000 people, okay? It's about that size, right? It's an entire month of Saturday nights.
Right.
Every day is Saturday night for a month. And every day is every night Saturday night, and every day Sunday afternoon. And it's basically, and the pub is open 23 hours a day for that across the whole city. Oh mate, I'm not even finished yet. It doubles in population. So for the calendar month of August, there's 500,000 people there. There is 8,500 shows on. Dance, theatre, kids shows, comedy shows. There's a book festival, you name it. It's just absolute madness. And all across the city, there's just these huge beer gardens laid out all across the city. And most of it, there's Spiegel tents and marquees, and then other venues are lecture halls or old churches. And there's literally venues in everywhere, in every space. And there's shows going from 9 in the morning all the way through to 3 a.m. every day for a month.
Jeez, man, how do you get a room? Have you ended up sleeping on people's couches and stuff?
Well, yeah, you've got to rent somebody's house for a month. You can't. There's no way you'll because the actual tourists, they grab all the hotel rooms. Yeah. So you have to, and it's kind of weird because Edinburgh is really old money. Half of it's really old money, and the other half's proper Raj bastards. Ned Scullies. But the old money of Edinburgh is really old. Pearl set. The Duchess lives here. Yeah. And often these really, really rich people, they rent their house out to somebody during the Fringe. They bugger off to their place in the Dordogne for the month. They go to their lavender farm in Provence. But they leave all their stuff there. Right? All their family pictures are up.
Have you stayed in some fancy gaffs?
Oh, yeah. One time, it wasn't mine. Ed Byrne stayed in this gaff right on the Royal Mile, right?
Yeah.
And it was literally, there were, paintings worth like 100 grand on the walls. There was art everywhere. And they didn't move any of it. Nothing. None of that. They were just like, I'm sure we can trust these archetypes to behave themselves.
Come back, someone's pissing on a fucking 100 grand painting.
Yeah.
Man, and what are the audiences like, Andrew? Are they obviously, they're probably a comedy audience, so they're coming there to be entertained. So you kind of have them won over already. But I've heard that some of them can be difficult.
Oh, mate, honestly, it's I've done the Fringe for 28 years. This has been my 28th year, and obviously we were off for a year during COVID. But I've done it every other year. And what you do as the years go on, you move up a rung, you build your own following. You get into the better time slots. So you want to be basically going on between 7 and 9.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's where you want to be. But my first year when I was there, I was on at 12:30 at night. Down in a place called the Cowgate, which is where all the party bars are.
Yeah, we know it.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, exactly. Every Irish person is drawn like a moth to the flame that is the Three Sisters mega pub.
We played there.
We played there,
yeah, right. So I was down there. So if you don't know what the Cowgate is, it is an open sewer where they let hen doos scamper through.
That's the best analogy I've ever heard. Yeah.
Oh,
pretty
Andrew.
Pretty accurate, right? So I was on one time, honestly, 12:30 till 1:30 in the morning, and it's people, they don't know who you are. You're just starting off. Your flyer team have managed to drag all sorts of waifs and strays in off the road at midnight in a drunken alleyway. It's bonkers. I remember one of the best ones, this old boy, I don't know how he got into the show, why he was there. He must have been about 100 years old, Scottish man. This grumpy old boy in the front row. And audibly, not only did he not laugh, lads, on every punchline, audibly on every punchline, he could be heard going, for fuck's sake. Shite. For an hour.
Oh, what a bastard.
Why didn't he just leave?
Yeah, exactly. I snapped at him and I went, it's grumpy Scottish men like you that'll mean Scotland will never have a Disneyland.
If people go and check out your Edinburgh show, it's Krakatoa.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Well, it's a play on words, obviously, lads.
Yeah. I figured that one.
Obviously, it's a little bit of play on words. So, I don't know if you know this. So, Krakatoa was the biggest explosion in human history, right, that we know about. It was a volcano in what is now Indonesia. Went off in the late Victorian period when we already had the modern press, popular press, and and the telegraph wire, right? So it was the first, and it went off like, I don't know, 1880, something like that, and it exploded. Literally, the whole island blew up. It's a volcano, and it just blew clean out of the air, and it could be heard 2,000 miles away in Beijing in China and in Adelaide in Australia.
Jesus.
And it was so loud, the sonic boom from it changed the air pressure of the planet 3 times.
Jesus.
As the sonic wave went around.
That's
right?
some crack.
And it became, so it became the most famous event in the world, right? And it became so famous that people started saying it as an exclamation.
Really?
Yeah. So the way people would say WTF these days, what the fuck? You know, people actually genuinely all over the world started saying Krakatoa.
Oh, I'm going to bring that back. That's brilliant.
It. That's basically it. The rest of the show is my usual current affairs, stories of me being a knob and, you know, being a messy dad and all the rest of it. But the aim of the game is to get the audience to shout Krakatoa.
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 I love it. Man, I got to ask you, I have to ask you, has anyone ever approached you to bring the panel back? Because for us growing up, like, that was our fucking, that was what I think we all loved it, Thursday nights. I know, like, when I was younger, my mother would just allow me stay up just to watch the panel, then she'd bait me off the bed then. But, like, for us, such a good show, such good comedians that have passed through it. And now we don't really seem to have anything like that here at home in Ireland, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have to say, it was an absolute delight to do. Like,
yeah,
I assume, you know, sometimes it's the basic alchemy. Like, you know, it's the same with you lads and this show. You clearly enjoy it.
Yeah,
and that comes across, and that's what people want. People want to see people enjoy each other's company, you know. But that's how it was. You know, it's like, you know, showing up and just nattering around the table, drinking Heineken out of mugs. so like, we'd record 2 hours. I didn't have to think about what was going to be edited in or out. I didn't give a toss.
Yeah.
you know, you're looking around the table and everybody there's your mate. And then afterwards, we'd go out and absolutely hammer it until dawn.
Fuck. They need to bring that back fast. And we need to be a part of it.
Yeah. But it was great. But the alchemy of it was that we were all mates.
Yeah.
And we all played to different strengths, you know. You know yourself with Neil, like he's a comedy writing machine.
Mm-hmm. You've had some career the whole way from the panel to working in England, Edinburgh shows, MTV, like, and even I'm a Celebrity. Like, what's your favourite? Is it still the stand up that gets you going, that gets you motivated, that you know to do all these things?
Oh, 100%. You know, through the lockdown and whatnot, the last 2 years, you know, we did Zoom gigs, did drive-in gigs, and, you know, they were good experiments. But, you know yourself, lads, obviously you have taken this show out on stage. You've done it live. It's incomparable, right? It's all about having a live audience. It's like what I've been, and my opening line right now for my new show in Edinburgh is like, God, it's great to have people back in the front row. Yeah. Human beings right in front of you. Then it's just so great to know that if I offend any of you, you could just get out of the audience and punch me in the head. if I just rightfully point out that your wife is bald, you could just get up here and slap me in the head. And then half an hour later, we'll give you an award.
Isn't it great?
Isn't it great? What a start. Yeah. Well, Andrew, thanks a million for coming on. And if people want to come and check out your Edinburgh show, where can they get the details?
I will be, obviously it'll be all linked on all my social medias, you know, on Instagram and Twitter and whatnot. And I'm on at 9:30 every day for the whole of August at a venue, one of the oldest running venues called the Gilded Balloon, and that's where I'll be. Krakatoa.
Krakatoa, I like it. Good slot. You don't have to deal with any of those crazy old bastards anymore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now I'm just dealing with crazy people in their 30s.
Yeah, a bit more manageable.
Manageable, but more mobile.
Yeah, a bigger threat if they get going.
Absolutely.
Brilliant stuff. Andrew, thanks a million for coming on, man, and giving us your time.
Oh, pleasure.
Thanks so much, man.
An absolute pleasure, lads.
Cheers. Okay.